that makes patient data or protected data vulnerable in one way or the other, because technology is evolving, so are the threats. What can organizations do to do better in keeping these threats under control?
Yeah, I think aligning your technology stack is a big key to that. And so for our technology stack and things, we're a huge Microsoft shop, and we rely on them. From the employee experience all the way through the security models and things like that. So, when you align to those tech standards and you bring them all together to get that deep understanding from the top to the bottom, that's when you can get the most advantage over that. So, for us, that's, using the Sentinel product to store all of our logs, whether they be from desktops or from applications and things like that, using, the Microsoft Azure, building Lego bricks, to be able to put together a series of steps that are all AI and things, to bring those technologies into the workflows, but bringing them in that secure facility, right? If you're using ChatGPT on the internet, you have much less control over what happens to your data. But if you work with a trusted partner, like a Microsoft that we do, then you can ensure that the BAAs are covering the use of that data. You can ensure that your data is staying within your environment, and you can ensure that you have the ability to delete or remove that data when you need to. Those are big keys, and I think it means a lot to work with a partner like that we can take and use in so many different facets under the same relationship agreement. We see the same from a development aspect as well, though. When we work with a development partner like Y, then we want to make sure that we involve them in multiple processes. We want to make sure that we've trained them on, here's our business process, and here's how we expect these functions to work. And the more that you deeply ingrain those relationships and find those partners that can really understand your environment and understand how you need the data to work, the more that these solutions can be cohesive and protect the data every step of the way.
How does your prior experience, Chaitanya, for you in hospitality, and Aishwarya, you in consulting, and I believe a bit in technology, right? How does that relate to Centro?
So for me, I was very lucky to get some really great experiences before I actually started working full time. And the most impactful one was the one I had at Marriott. So Marriott Worldwide, as many of you would know, is the largest hospitality company in the world. And for me, when as a young student, when I worked with Marriott, what I realized was this company is based in the US. This maybe like 10,000, 20,000 miles from here, and they're running like about 40,000 hotels in the world. And to offer that level of service at that scale is something incredible. And to still have that sort of detail or commitment to guests was something incredible, and has been a huge inspiration for me to build sort of scalable brands for so long, and to sustain that for so long, to enter so many geographies. So the things that I picked up over there is that, I think what we realized was that, to delight your guests, you don't need money, it's just some sort of commitment. And that commitment can be built into people. So that guest centricity, or what we like to call a human-centered design, has become a central pillar to what we do at Centro. And I feel like that takes a huge inspiration from where I worked before. Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about that, Aishwarya?
I think I agree entirely. For me, my experience is very different. I come from an engineering background. I worked in an insurtech startup. I did my MBA. I worked in consulting. So that diverse experience taught me one thing, is that at the end of the day, all businesses work the same way. It's just a business. The product you're providing is different, but businesses are built the same way. And so for me, when I come into this from an outsider perspective, and when I combine that with my experience as a consumer, I'm able to ask questions to, say, Chaitanya, which sometimes he doesn't have answers to, or sometimes he takes a pause. And he'll be like, yeah, it doesn't need to be done this way. It's always done this way, but it doesn't need to. So let's think about how we can change it.
Yeah.
So that complementary skill set that we have, I think, works in our favor a lot.
So despite AI capabilities, we all agree that human involvement remains vital. What role does human oversight play in generative AI implementations, and why do you think it is so important?
The easiest way to frame this is necessity. Human oversight is an absolute necessity. You cannot just take a chatbot. If you have a mandate from your board of directors to work within the generative AI space. You can't just take a chatbot, replace a customer service person, put it on your website, and say, okay, we're done. Human oversight is an absolute necessity to be able to ensure that what is being said and what is being done by that bot or that LLM or that service is correct and consistent, because it's also treating itself as it goes on. You've heard some terms that are starting to be created now around the generative AI space, things like amnesia or imagination, or just coming up with new policies or procedures. Remember, a model has a mandate to respond. It does not have a mandate to follow the rules because it doesn't really understand what rules are. It has a mandate to respond based on the information that it's been trained on. So you cannot leave it on its own without any type of oversight. You can let it take care of repetitive work and then mark things for you in a specific way so you can work more efficiently. So it is right now, as the way that generative AI, the entire space is, it cannot function without direct human oversight.
How do you see acceptance? So let's say domestic consumers are one larger chunk of your potential customers. So how do you see acceptance from this community first? And then we will get to the other communities, which are housing societies or corporates or organizations.
Essentially, it's about, in a very loose way, it's about marketing or branding. So this challenge is solved through that approach, and which is why now I'm more prepared and ready to be on the various social media platforms, because today we didn't have this, say, 20 years back, but we have this today. So through my platform, I can reach people. For example, I got a call from Jaipur. He really liked our approach and he wants to do something. So I don't think this would have been possible maybe 20 years back. So such as the podcast like this one. So these are going to be powerful methods to reach out to people who want to do something. So I think I would address this problem through that route. And I typically like to say it as, we need to be the Steve Jobs of climate.
What do you see as the most common, for lack of a better word, mistakes that you see new or even seasoned entrepreneurs making when they want to actually grow their business?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of times it comes down to, you have to slow down to speed up. And a lot of times we see people start just doing tactics into the market, and they haven't really stopped, take a breath to create a strategy before you go. And it applies to everything in the selling conversation. For example, the reason that we start with value is because it starts to allow us to craft a vision of what might be interesting to a customer, so that even you're preparing for a conversation. But we see a lot of our customers, our clients, they've been doing these tactical things. They'll do some ads here, or they'll attend an event, and it's not even relevant to what their clients want, just because they think they should be there. So it's really slowing down and building out that strategic effort, which is a selling effort. And I think we all do it. It's just we kind of forget.
Let me ask you this. Can computer science graduates fresh out of college directly get into AI? What skills do they need as a foundation? Or what is the grooming period for getting into like an AI engineer?
I think Kirti will be the right person to answer that.
Yeah, so now these days, if there is a computer science also, there are few subjects are added into the syllabus, at least basic machine learning concept, deep learning concept. So when you go any college, these are the subjects in computer science field also, okay? So depends on the students. Few students are very curious and they expand themselves other than this stuff. But if you consider that only computer science student with no background of machine learning or deep learning, I think it will take almost 6 months of rigorous work to arrive at a good AI engineer, at least to start with.
Hitting a career plateau is a challenge that many professionals face from time to time. So, what is your guidance for them if they feel stuck? What they should do, and how do they reignite the momentum and find new opportunities for growth in their career?
Sure. So when we start out in our careers, we always look at some people and create our own path. This is what I want to do over the next 3 to 5 years. I want to be a senior software engineer. I want to be an architect. I want to be a manager. I want to be a VP. What happens over the time is I think we lose the touch with our own goals. And we achieve some of them and we reach there and we never think about what's next. I think that's where we feel like we are stuck or our career has plateaued. What do I do now?
So would you consider it to be UX UI or UI UX?
Technically, UX will be the first, the lower hanging fruit, which needs to be addressed while creating something, right? Then the interface will come in, but it will start parallelly because the research process can start parallelly. So maybe UI UX is something that is easy to say.
Yeah,
that's why it is termed like that. But the first lower hanging fruit might be the UX.
How can developers use AI to support their learning, especially when it comes to understanding challenging concepts? What advice would you give for using AI as a tool to enhance foundational knowledge, and what pitfalls should they avoid?
AI is great at generating a lot of code. A failure mode I've seen for a lot of junior developers is just taking that, pasting it straight into the app and straight into whatever their code base is. And that's why what I've really concentrated on is teaching them about using AI as a learning tool itself. And I've created a learning path. This is part of the research I did for the most recent edition of Head for C#. Came out a few months ago, and we're just going to the second printing now. The learning path starts with ask it questions, use it as a learning tool, use it as a research tool. And only after you've gotten the basics of prompt engineering, then you can go and start actually using it to generate code, because you start to understand where it can and can't, its limitations, what it can do for you, can't do for you. But as a learning tool, it's fantastic. Instead of asking for it to generate code to solve your problem, asking it to generate examples, asking it more questions, having a tool that you can ask follow-up questions to, that's read all the manuals, that can adapt to your learning style, because everybody has a different learning style. That's really, really valuable.
You touched upon AI. I mean, you saw that. You said that 6clicks in its GRC model is one of the, I would say, early adapters of how 6clicks is leveraging AI to simplify compliance and improve risk management. Could you help us by throwing some light on this as to how 6clicks is actually doing this?
And so this is something that artificial intelligence and large language models can do really well. So it's very good at identifying, for example, two questions that are largely the same. It's very good at identifying merging the answers to different questions together, or taking information out of one answer and merging it into another. This type of manipulation of natural language is something that artificial intelligence can do very well. So this is where the sort of initial concept of our artificial intelligence platform, which by the way we call Haley, is her name. Okay. That's her name. That's where it came about. And since then, and particularly over the last 24 months or so, we've actually expanded Haley to a whole suite of applications, and we're very much working on the cutting edge of what we can do with modern AI.
Hope you enjoyed watching this episode. But this is not all. There is more to come. A special mention to Why Involve Network followers for writing to us and suggesting some interesting topics. This is very encouraging and makes us do a lot more. Keep watching and stay tuned. Thank you.